Hello and welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. We have reached episode 857 somehow. It is February 18, 2026. I am Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I am Josh Walrath.
I am pronouncing all the words. I'm Brett Van Spoonberg.
And I'm Kent Burgess.
And you know what? We got an amazing show for you tonight. Looking over the show notes, I'm astonished by how much the show was padded since I last saw the state of these show notes.
I know. Yeah, gush about it, please.
Yes, it's just fantastic, Brett. Thank you so much for doing that. And I know,
I'm so
also,
glad. I'm so glad that everybody before the show did their enunciation exercises.
Yeah.
Seven
Yeah,
dwarves
proper cup of
practiced
coffee.
doing handstands on the living room carpet.
Enunciate. Move your
A
mouth.
proper cup of coffee in a proper copper coffee pot.
Anyway,
elocution
sorry, I do.
is imperative in podcasting. Brett, would you like to tell our esteemed viewers about some of our even more esteemed patrons right now?
You know, I would right now. I want to thank a few patrons, especially one that I initially read as Tim Horton. It's not his name. It's not his name, but I kind of like to think that it was. But thank you. You know who you are.
His name's Tim Fortran?
Nope, that's close.
Oh,
That's close.
okay.
Yep, he's going to remember this moment. He's going to frame this in his video
Now
chats.
he's going to want all of his buddies to nickname him Tim Fortran.
That's true. Next
Sadly,
up on
he
the
only
list.
learned to program Pascal.
Wait, there's more? There's more, Brett?
There is
My
more.
goodness, there is. Please stand by or sit, if you will. 50 kilowatt, not one, not two, 50 kilowatt, 50 of them, all of them packed in, just sparking off and giving energy to the show in the form of just a few coins into the Dropbox. And finally, by the way, 50 kilowatt thinks this environment, what we're doing here is actually better than Netflix. And he's
most
moved,
things are, really.
I mean,
he's moved
it's
his
a low bar, but we match it.
Yeah.
He's moved his Netflix dollars over to us because we're
Oh, nice.
replacing that entertainment block in his life with.
Could he
this show.
potentially become 1.2 gigawatts?
Let's see.
I mean, give
Let's
him
see.
time.
Let's see. And
Inflation.
last up on the list, and not least by the longest shot, this person's alias is the only computer components I can still afford are OnlyFans.
There might be
It's
a
a good
missing
one.
space
It's a
somewhere
good
One
one.
word on the end.
in there.
Oh,
That's very
good.
well timed.
That's
One word
that
on the
is really good.
Thank you. Thank you so much, fans.
Yes, thank you all for keeping this going. And you know what? You've earned a burger segment. Josh, I know it'll be something wholly original, absolutely going to blow us away.
Never had it before. But you know what? Sometimes it's all in the presentation. Whoever they had working there today, not only did they cook a fine burger, but they didn't crush it. They didn't drop it. The fries were a little overdone, but still tasty. But yeah, look, it's a non-crushed burger. You can actually see the texture of the bun without it being smashed. The jalapenos are still attached to the burger with the chipotle ketchup and mayo. Yeah, it's the naughty. The naughty is a classic. American cheese, bacon, jalapenos, chipotle mayo, and chipotle ketchup. And it's a fantastic burger. I used to, swap out cheddar with that. But sometimes you just need a good old slice of salty American cheese. And there you have it. Again, the fries, they look nice, but they were a little crunchy, a little more than I was hoping. Didn't eat them all, but it was, as you can see, it was a lot of fries. And fries, I don't like to put them in the refrigerator.
No. Well, with an air fryer, you can sort of bring them back, but it's just not worth it. Now, is it just me, or was that perhaps consumed at Born in the Barn?
No, it was consumed in my house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, wasn't feeling great this morning, but you know what? I powered through it all. Don't want to go into details, but
You sacrificed for the fans.
Not
did.
necessary.
I did.
we don't have to hear about what happened to it the second time around. So Brett doesn't like that stuff. Let's move to the news portion of our podcast, and in no particular order at all. Our first story from videocards.com. ASUS, you may have heard of them. They can't sell laptops in Germany right now. I think Acer is also in the same boat. It's this little thing called HEVC. It's a high-definition video codec. You may have heard of H.265. Turns out that washed-up former smartphone maker Nokia,
that's
or
harsh.
Nokia, or however you want to pronounce them, they're kind of a patent troll right now, and they want their money. Dell and HP, they just straight up disabled it. We talked about this a while back.
Yep.
Apparently Acer and ASUS did not, and now they're getting sued, and now they can't sell their stuff, at least in Germany. I don't know if this will translate to the rest of the world, but we need open standards. I guess we take this for granted, like H.264, H.265. They feel like open standards, but they're not.
Josh, you have the pulse of the computer economy in Germany, don't you? Constantly.
The closest
love
I've
AMD.
got to that is a Frenchman who was one of the earlier investors in DivX that made money and got out of it. So
For a second there, I thought this story was going to a place I didn't want to hear, but okay.
DivX, yeah, no, that it never turns out well because eventually the money runs out and somebody produces something that is open source that can be, swapped in there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sad that the Nokia is finished, right?
They're not finished. I mean, they're working as a patent.
That's not what he said.
Yeah.
That's not what he said.
I mean, they were from that area way back in the day, but
Yeah. I have nothing else to add to this particular thing.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
This is why DisplayPort is superior to HDMI. DisplayPort is open source.
The story from Guru of 3D. Intel has confirmed a major change to its GPU roadmap, their graphics architectures, their product updates. They're going to an annual cadence. That means brand new mobile graphics every year. Actually, I don't think they specifically said mobile only, but I mean, look at the product roadmap here. They're talking about integrated graphics. There's nothing on here. Well, I guess there is. It says DGPU here.
Yeah, but that's pretty much, you think, that's destined for the data center, I feel.
They already have.
Well, no, there's the
Battle
B580.
Mage.
That's their Battle Mage. And then yes, there are no B770s as far as I know. They have all been repurposed for the data center. And we're probably not going to see that on the consumer side. Why
I
sell
feel like
something for $350 when you can sell it for $10,000?
Yeah.
Why-
I feel like we've kept thinking, like, why is Intel still in this? How long can they stay in this? How can they keep doing this? Yet they have planned for years of GPU development and, as Josh said, just lining their pockets with cash.
Let's look at their AI roadmap strategy, Brett. I'm glad you brought that up because it's all about agentic AI and inference foundations. They're going to build, deploy, and expand on that front. It's very exciting for us consumers.
With the speed of AI, the agentic and inference solutions feel so 10 days ago. I don't know. Slightly behind the curve.
Speaking of consumer devices and consumer-friendly companies, Micron, the parent company of a little brand called Crucial that they shut down, is pumping out those PCIe 6.0 SSDs now.
I can't wait to get one.
All you have to do, open an AI data center, and you can make that happen.
Whatever do
I
you
hear
mean?
that's popular nowadays.
5.5 million IOPS. That's pretty extreme. 25 watts, though.
25 watts of power. That is a lot through those little fingers.
That's why they're water cooled.
Oh, okay.
Not mandatorily. You can still air cool them. I don't know why you'd want to, other than you've got a huge blower going entirely across your server. But yeah, they are designed for being water cooled because that's what storage should be. Storage should definitely be water cooled. It's perfectly normal. Don't question this at all, but don't worry about it because, as we said, you can't have them. On the plus side, you don't need them.
Read speeds, man.
Yeah, really. And they finally came up with MOPS because millions of operations does make more sense than several thousand IOPS. I hate the idea that they're going to do the kilowatt hops because that's just dumb. Just skip over it and go for the millions of IO operations.
Rip in peace, Jeremy. Oh.
MyOps is CIOPS. Come on. CIOPS suck. MyOps makes sense.
I just like IOPS, and then you put an M or a K or a T or a P.
Fair, because T is coming.
Thought we already had tops. Oh, you mean TIOPS.
Yes.
From Tech Radar, quote, "We're pretty much sold out for calendar 2026, end quote. Western Digital CEO says their storage firm is completely sold out of hard drive capacity already. So, I mean, what does that mean? What does that mean for us consumers? What it means is artificial inflation. I've decided that's what AI stands for. Now, not necessarily for new products, but think about those products that places like Newegg have been sitting on for 5 years. The Gen 3 NVMe 1 terabyte drives, things like that. They just couldn't sell. Now they're triple the price.
There are gold in Demdare discount piles because, they used to be giving these things away. And now, honestly, it's like, are there tutorials on taking USB thumb drives and unsoldering the flash memory from it and putting it on an NVMe drive? Because
I think so.
I might need to do this soon.
Was it 8-Bit Guy who made a RAID array out of like 8 thumb drives a decade ago?
It might have been. That was a while back.
But hey,
Sebastian,
next.
what?
Do you remember a week or so ago, we were talking up the next generation of storage and how Spinning Rust was going to get another generational speed enhancement, speed boost. And if you were eagerly awaiting those, you're not going to be able to buy those either. No.
Oh, no, I'm not an LLM.
They're sold out too.
LLM.
Now. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
YouTube has urged us to start the PCPer data center. I'm thinking of, instead of home lab, we just start building data centers. Why don't we just do that?
Yeah, it's one way to get components.
Yeah,
technically,
I guess.
if you can find a good venture capitalist, we don't need any revenue, any real solid
we can
plan.
project billions of dollars in losses and get billions of dollars in income.
Yeah.
That's investment. That's what that's called.
I understand that there's a couple of people here that know where Alan Malventano lives, and I'm pretty sure he has all the stuff to start a data center in his garage.
It's in his basement.
It's not. He has the stuff. He has an active data center in his basement.
Yeah, I think at this point, those drives are actually worth more than the cryptocurrency he's incurred.
I bet you're right. I bet you're right.
And all those Linux distros and free range movies.
The open source software and public domain books and videos,
texts.
One point about this whole thing, like the fact that consumers can't really buy stuff at any kind of affordable price anymore. It's funny is that as AI takes over all the hardware, then we lose access to hardware to use AI. But nobody's really seems to have figured this out yet. Consumer companies are going to be dropping like flies. Consumers can't afford hardware anymore. Here's a story from PC Gamer, and I saw this quote on Twitter. Josh and I were both commenting on this. The CEO of Phison said that many consumer electronics manufacturers are going to go bankrupt or exit consumer product lines by the end of this year.
It's happening.
As this continues to happen, we saw Crucial already, but there'll be more. It's just going completely out of control. And then we won't be able to use anything but outdated hardware to access these great AI solutions, which I'm sure will have ever greater memory footprints and higher minimum system requirements.
Yeah, that's the best part. It's like, hey, I want a new Wi-Fi router. Well, guess what? That's 50% more expensive than it was just months ago. Hey, I want to get a new Roomba or whatever the robotic vacuum cleaner is. Well, memory prices on that have now jumped dramatically. And so we have to add another 30 to 40% onto your freaking device. Refrigerators with the fancy touchscreens,
Toasters, barbecues,
well,
cars.
TVs,
Yeah, I
mean, still not seeing the price
TVs
increase.
have not done too bad, but it's coming.
That's why PC Perspective is soon coming up with the dumb appliance shop.
Oh,
We're
most
going to
certainly.
collect a bunch of dumb appliances and start selling them at a premium.
When the DRAM pricing increase started, and we were looking at it going, this is going to get bad. One of us brought up the point in a show about when this hits the phone market. I mean, there are phone manufacturers that are really dependent on people upgrading every new model. And if they can't, and if people aren't going to upgrade, you're going to have companies in a bad situation, and you're going to have a lot of consumers who, want to upgrade that can't, that are going to be upset as well. It's going to be interesting what happens. Unfortunately, it's going to suck, but it will be interesting at least.
Well, Samsung, even though their memory and their cell phone guys are really essentially separate, you've got to think that the bigwigs up top are going to be like, we are not going to sacrifice one of these for the other, because eventually memory will go back down. So you've got to think, at least in their corner, they're going to still be able to acquire memory at a reasonable cost. But that's about it.
I don't know. I feel like because they're a South Korean company, they're going to have to bid on their own memory the same as anybody else.
They may have to.
Business.
Yeah.
And what they could do, just throwing this out there, it is just possible that if we have to go backwards with RAM, we could, we've brought this up before, we could just optimize a little bit. You don't have to have 16 gigabytes of RAM for an Android phone. You could have 8 and just optimize a little bit better.
That is what drove optimization in the pre-RAM is free era.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
That is exactly
and
it.
storage.
Yeah, storage.
The first iPhone actually did function. I had one. It did stuff. You could use it every day for various tasks. It had 128 megabytes of RAM. So, or did I have 128 megs. And a single core, single core processor.
ARM processor. Yeah.
It was an ARM, like 600 and something megahertz processor and 128 megs of RAM.
Well, both Samsung and SK Hynix have poured capital to increase, well, not increase, but to quicken, make faster their production facilities that were under construction, that they're trying to kit them out far faster than they were before. And so, again, we're not big fans of OpenAI and what they have done. And if they go down, again, they are taking other companies with them, because real actual money has been spent on physical manufacturing facilities.
Yeah. So is this technically an ironic cycle? In that, usually the argument is that programmers are cheaper than storage, or storage is cheaper than a good programmer.
Well, the AI will take care of the programming.
AI is the third and technically ironic part, where you don't hire a better programmer, you hire an AI to take up more storage to optimize the amount of storage you take so that you can be more effective at using AI to take up the storage that you need to free up to be able to. Because, vibe coding has sort of taken the seesaw out. Now it's a triangle where you've got the programmer who's vibe coding with the AI to try and get more efficiency to use less storage, but it takes more storage on the AI's part to be able to be more efficient.
It just sounds like you're getting stuck. Obviously, more exabytes, more storage is the solution to eventually sort out the storage and RAM issue. We need more RAM and more storage.
We're going back to dumb terminals.
Data centers. Well,
I think I'd like to.
We're going back to dumb terminals that
like to
attach to a cloud.
summarize a previous statement. It's like the peak theorem. I think I'd like to call this. There's a zero-sum game going on in access to technology now, and that the more and more powerful and the more technology and the higher-end hardware that we pour into the AI and data centers, the less ability we will have to access it, as if there's a fulcrum, as if there's a zero-sum game going on. This is the peak theorem. I think I'd like to put that out there. See if you can adopt that.
I when I came up with that, I was at MIT at the time, and it was just this little paper I published, and
zero sum game, access to technology.
Yeah. Oh no, it's negative sum now. It's not just zero sum. It's literally getting worse.
I did learn it this week. I did learn this week at work who this RAM shortage is going to affect the most. It's going to be Gen Z and millennials, because I work with a couple of Gen Zs and millennials, and every time I go and see their computers, they have like 30 Chrome tabs open.
Only 30?
Slow day.
Slow day, yeah.
Oh, Chrome crashed recently and they didn't restore all their tabs. Don't worry. It'll get back up.
Yeah.
Those are
Firefox is actually better. Sorry, Josh.
If Global Foundries was smart, and maybe they've got underused production and they have the FDSOI, and I really wonder if a planar type small FDSOI would be conducive to DRAM production. I mean, sadly, I'm not an engineer, an electrical engineer, but if there is a group that has an interesting technology that could actually work there and have a lot of wafers available, they could actually make more than what their 1.8 billion a quarter that they're currently doing.
Well, they just got a bunch of money to build out additional fabs in, I think, Germany. I was reading a story the other day about this. Global Foundries is expanding over in Europe. So maybe in just a few short years, when the AI bubble bursts, they'll be ready to pounce. Let's move on to more AI-related nonsense. Sony could push the PlayStation 6 launch to as late as 2029 due to rising memory costs / memory availability. And that's...
Remember our advice
supposedly next year, but maybe that won't even happen. Who knows?
Remember our advice with the can't build the PC, you're going to be forced into buying a console. Good luck with that.
Speaking of memory woes in the U.S. could be assuaged somewhat by unbanning some Chinese memory companies.
Yeah.
Reportedly, the U.S. government has removed CXMT and YMTC from their restricted Chinese tech firm list. DDR4, DDR5 possibly being considered by ASUS, Acer, Dell, and HP from the CXMT lines.
The interesting part about this is that they were, before the ban actually happened, they were major suppliers to kind of like lower performance consumer electronics devices. So this could help on the low end. Or if it's starting to come in volume, this may be like one of the only sources. So who knows what's going to happen when you free up some of this capacity and availability. Might start ending up in higher end devices just because it's available.
Well, yeah, because something to think about is that DRAM does not require cutting edge process tech. I mean, you're not seeing DRAM produced on 3 nanometer stuff. It's always older, more, mature process. And plus, there's certain things about memory that just doesn't scale well. And having just looked it up, actually, FDSOI is an excellent thing for DRAM because for each cell, you can have 1T cell, but because of how does it go? Let me read this off. It uses a capacitorless single transistor structure instead of the traditional 1 transistor, 1 capacitor cell. So all because of the floating body of the transistor to store charge. But regardless,
of course,
they could have a ton. They could have a ton of just DRAM sitting in China that is unsold, that they can flood the market with and
Dram
ramp up
you.
production. Yeah, and if you got to think about it, a lot of people, I mean, the first thing comes out is like, well, they're going to put backdoors in their chips. Well, it's memory. You can check really quickly if they're backdoors, because it's not like you're looking for a hidden CPU in there. It doesn't quite work that way. But the manufacturers who would utilize this probably are going to test these chips out really well to make sure that nothing is crazy or funky. But I saw a review that somebody had bought one of these DIMM sets in France where it was not banned, and works great. So yeah, they could be the answer. We'll see.
From videocards.com, MSI RTX 5090 Lightning. Now, this is almost a week old, but apparently after we podcasted last week, there was news of an official price of $5090.99. I don't know why the 99. It was so much better at just $5,090 even.
Dissonance, I agree.
Josh, why is there a 99?
Thank you.
So you have to enter a raffle to buy one. There's this site we've looked at before, but now there's a link. You can sign in to enter the raffle. Now, interesting that they're choosing this flashing effect, which may be bothering your eyes if you're watching the video version.
Yeah.
Because there is a video out there of somebody powering one of these up and immediately the thing just catching fire and blowing up inside their case. I can't imagine this would have happened with a
I don't know. That just looks like
edge ATX 3.1
12 volt high power, and it's natural habitat.
I don't know.
It looks natural to me. And that is what happens when you don't pay attention to what the pyromaniacs give you for a power cord.
There is a short video of this available online as well. That was just basically, as they say in the industry, the money shot.
Which industry?
They say it in certain industries.
Okay.
There's you could see the fire and brimstone illuminating from the 12 volt high power location and spreading out in a brief but intense ball of fire and electrical arcing. That's just for the audio listeners.
Oh, speaking of audio,
I'm curious, Josh, are you gonna enter into this lottery to pay an obnoxious amount of money for something, or are you gonna go for Grandpappy again this year?
No, on none of those things, because
it reminds me of your guys' bourbon.
The liquor industry is in the same space where the MBAs took over and all went to hell.
Yeah,
because they're complaining, and this is absolutely not computer thing. Manufacturers are complaining, we are sitting on a lake of unsold liquor. And I thought the easiest way to rectify that is lower your prices. But they don't want to do that because
computer says
these
no.
college MBAs are in charge and like, oh, we can't do that. We have a price growth. And blah, 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 blah.
Oh, please,
anyway.
Josh. It's the AI telling the MBAs they can't do that.
But are we covering? I need to look at the thing, because are we covering the article where someone did boot up one of those lightnings, and the picture that Sebastian said, showed was not one of the lightnings.
It was not. Someone
pushed the overclock so hard on it and so much power, it actually cracked the die.
Yeah, they're a liquid nitrogen.
It's liquid
guy,
cooled,
right?
and was it liquid nitrogen?
It was like
It was an extreme
overclock, and
been.
Of course they. I mean,
okay,
and they went
that
to
makes sense. By
disparity
cracked.
Yeah, they went to. I think they were pushing 1,300 watts on that.
Oh, that's perfectly
If I recall the
safe.
story correctly, on just the GPU.
No.
let's see. Get the
Should be
GPU
no
really
problem
hot,
with that.
and then get it really cold. Get it really hot and really. Oh, it cracked. I can't imagine why that happened. If you are an audio enthusiast, like I know Kent is, do you think you could tell the difference between audio signals that were sent through different, let's say, unusual
Media?
Yeah. So there are people who debate different gauge and type of copper wire.
Wrappings, oxygen free,
Right.
How far apart the wires are so that the electrical impulses don't interfere with each other, etc.
What happens if you put an audio signal through a banana, through wet mud, and then through a copper wire and have people take a blind A/B test? It turns out that those people, they couldn't tell the difference, because when the audio signal actually made it out the other end, it's it's just
ones and
really
zeros.
didn't make much of a difference. It really
no.
didn't make much of a difference.
I feel like I would be able to hear a difference between a banana and copper, but maybe not. I guess it depends on what you're listening to.
I guess the banana sound was a little bit warmer, a little richer.
It would have different resistance. You'd think it would be a different load presented to the amplifier. It's maybe the damping factor would be different. The bass would be different.
The banana had sort of a creamier sound to it.
Yes.
And the Muddy Water had kind of a gritty texture to the music.
But they were listening to Muddy Waters' folk singer album at the time, so it just seemed appropriate. It's like, wow,
And,
these guys sounded more
It's
real.
all early 90s grunge through the dirt transmitter.
All I know
And we
is
won't
that
speak of the cucumber.
just making sure I'm not muted. All I know is that when I had 22 gauge wire and I went to 14, it made such a huge difference in the low end. It's not even funny. So
Impedance.
Should have tried wet mud.
Impedance, yeah.
I should have tried wet mud.
Turns out,
No, the only thing you're going to hear a difference is if you try using molar water.
And anionic.
Okay. Absolutely no contaminants in it. It does not conduct electricity.
no, it does not.
So
You're right about that.
Would not hear anything.
Sebastian, you were correct in the assumption that it just merely changes the relative volume due to increased resistance. That is actually true. That's what happened.
You see,
And I do want to point out something that we did talk about some number of weeks ago, or maybe it was a while ago, about the high-end audio network switching gear for that pure sound over your Ethernet network. That's just crazy talk.
It is. If you have extraneous signals, they should just be filtered out.
Right.
You can do this with audio signals. You can do this with, if there's high-speed noise that's interfering with the ones and zeros going through your network gear, you need better shielding. You don't need diamond cables. It's just a design flaw. And the reason that some cables sound better than others is because of their difference in resistance. And like Josh is talking about, a much thicker cable providing better bass. The dynamic loudspeaker, it's a motor. And if you are connecting the motor with something flimsy that has power loss, there's not going to be the same strength, like the actual ability to stop the loudspeaker from moving, which is what they call the damping factor. That's probably better with a higher quality, bigger copper cable when you're dealing with bass. They don't give you thread thin cables for your subwoofer.
No, that's why you hack up some power cord and use that as opposed to
use a
speaker
coat
cord.
hanger.
18 gauge
Or
zip wire.
Yeah. Also, no, this reminds me of way back in the day when I was even poorer than I was now and needed to get antenna TV. So I grabbed a 50-foot long coax cable because the satellite or antenna plugs in via coax back then. Stripped off most of the insulation, plugged a potato in the end, and actually got very good reception for quite a while on the over-the-air TV. The potato added a slight electrical charge to it, so it was in a better receiver than it would have been without the potato. Had to change the potato every couple of weeks, though.
What about
Did
a
it
baked
improve
potato?
the quality of the broadcast at all?
Significantly compared to without just the unshielded coax in loops to try and be an antenna.
Yes,
But a baked potato it could have warmed up
Parker
the
Lewis
sound.
Can't Lose was even funnier.
Oh, God. Josh, your
slightly
brain
funnier.
amazes me sometimes. You'll have to Google that if you don't get it. Welcome to Insecurity Corner, your weekly reason to drink.
In our first story, Bitwarden, Dashlane, and LastPass, they totally can't read your passwords. Wink, says Jeremy. Now, come on. I don't think there's any possibility that any of these password managers, if you use their service that allows you to sync between your smartphone and your browser extension, obviously they can read your master password, right?
Well, I mean, the idea is that everything is passed back and forth in an encrypted manner, and everything is authenticated both ways, so that if you're about to pass your master password somewhere, it is going to authenticate on both ends that is a connection that should happen and that will remain entirely encrypted along the way. Should be.
Hey, one-way
It's
hashes are a
not.
thing. Let's just recognize that they don't
Yeah.
have to decrypt it. All right, so there's that.
But unfortunately, and again, literally ironically, one of the identified attacks being used against LastPass, Dashlane, Bitwarden, others that might sue for being mentioned but totally are, is that if you get an email saying, hey, we've been hacked, you need to change your master key, and you change that master key via one of the browser extensions as opposed to the standalone app, there's no authentication between that, and someone can totally intercept it after having access, purposely triggered the email saying, hey, you need to change your master key. And once they've got your master key, well, that's just wonderful now, isn't it? Because that doesn't expose your entire bloody vault. That's the worst part about it. The other part is that a bunch of these security researchers took a look into it and said that, yeah, if you have access to the server on which all of your hashes are stored, so an employee or someone who hacked one of these companies, it takes a bit of work, but you can totally decrypt the passwords and weaken the encryption to the point that, yeah, you can pretty much read those passwords as plain text. It's just lovely for an entire industry that, one of their key phrases is zero knowledge of anything that you store on our services. Yeah, it doesn't seem to look that way. And honestly, I was expecting to talk about something that I thought was even worse than this until I noticed this. And this is just obscene, because for years they've been offering this service and swearing, no, there is no way to get into it unless we get horribly hacked and people do horrible things. It's like, no, apparently this whole time the encryption has not been as good as it could be if you can gain ownership of the servers, which I'm not even just talking attackers. I'm a LastPass employee with a grudge could, in theory, sacrifice their jobs to be able to grab all of your passwords and maybe even just change your
bad behaving browser extension, which we will talk about in a minute. But first,
yes.
This
is the one I thought we'd be talking about.
Yeah, let's talk about
would be the top story.
And remember, Copilot, it has no interest in spying on you. This is not about accessing your personal confidential data that you flagged as confidential. It was just a bug. It was a bug that allowed Copilot to summarize confidential emails since January.
Sebastian, the concept of labels explicitly being applied to things, that this is a confidential communication, and that you are relying on what the OS developer and the vendor of Copilot and the chat mechanism that Copilot fronts for, saying we will dutifully ignore any of that data wrapped in those tags. No, that is actually not true. Color everyone shocked. Everyone puts on their shocked face for AI has broken through that and will happily summarize these confidential communications and emails. And it's been happening since about a month ago.
And you have to pay.
Fix this one quite yet, but yeah, this is kind of a bad thing.
No, and the best thing is you have.
We aren't ready to deal with it. We aren't ready to deal with the fallout of AI and its hunger for data and its ability to sort of be tricked into telling things that it shouldn't, although this was a blatant fault of the vendor, Microsoft, of allowing it to access data that was supposed to be couched in confidentiality. I think that sums it up.
And to be able to have that confidentiality tag, you have to pay extra to Microsoft.
Thank you.
Thank
you for adding that little bit of
that
additional
they
distaste.
don't hold your data hostage on purpose.
Right.
Accidentally. It was totally an accident.
You pay extra for the added security to have them blow it up.
Well, I mean, you're paying them to protect you against them. Wait.
Sounds like blackmail. It's like the protection racket.
It practically is.
Not really great blackmail because they did it anyways. Shame if something happened to your store. Yeah, but it's happening right now. Like, you're literally doing it as you're asking for money. If I give you money, will you stop?
There's a vicious rumor that Windows, especially Windows 11, is bleeding users to Linux.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Never heard of
it. To the rescue. Mm-hmm. Not that we know anyone who's adopting that alternative operating system at all.
Not that anyone's noticed yet.
Hey, be careful when you're downloading those AI browser extensions for Chrome that I know that you're rushing out to get, because there's a fake one or fake extensions with 300,000 users stealing your credentials, reading your email.
So there's a series of seemingly helpful extensions: AI sidebar, ChatGPT translate, AI GPT, AI sidebar, Google Gemini, AI assistant, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These have been essentially frame wrappers around a back-end service for helpfully injecting whatever the hell the back-end service that they've directed you to wants, and then feeding you answers from essentially a remoted-in API call to that particular AI backend. Because they've sort of stood up a iframe wrapper into the space that they are presenting to you through the extension, this is a trusted entity that you've essentially allowed into the same runtime as your browser. They're doing things like looking at your browser content, watching emails that you're composing, stealing the content of those through standard JavaScript routines that are addressing the document object model inside of the browser, and grabbing content blocks and whisking them off to the malware servers. At least 300,000 people have been subject to, or 300,000 installations. There's probably been more. And this was for at least 30 malicious Chrome extensions that have hopefully been removed from the store. But they're stealing credentials, they're stealing content. It is just security and convenience, again, always inversely proportional, people. Stop infecting yourself.
And if I can yell at Microsoft again for a moment, Intune does offer a way to install or uninstall Chrome extensions, but you can only do one. You can't pick multiples. It gets mad and stops working completely. It's because I would love to be able to just feed a list of these Chrome Store app IDs and just have them automatically uninstalled on anything, because there's no reason for them to be there in the first place. But if someone manages to get around it, we could just automatically uninstall them. But no, Microsoft is not into that either.
They all have a unique UUID. I think that's a reasonable suggestion to say, so just block these UIDs from running. Just block them from running.
And if you can figure out a way, do it.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, the block list should be block everything except, and then you manually add the extensions that can be cleared. That's
I think the understanding that everybody needs to remember, and I sort of alluded to this when I first started talking about it, is every time you put an extension in your browser, you're inviting that extension into the same process and permission space as everything that you're reading and writing through that browser, which today in online applications is 90% of probably what you do, or an app on your phone, so one or the other. And the extension pretty much can take advantage of that. So be very careful about things that you just willy-nilly download as an extension. And even go back in and check, because some of the old ones sometimes get retired and bad actors take over the update servers, et cetera, et cetera. We've talked about this before. All right, Kelt, go back to sleep. or wake up.
But we got
No,
Francois
wake up. Come
on,
back.
who was talking to
You can come back.
James Pryor. So now I'm more interested in the chat than you guys.
Yeah.
Well, it is
Nathan.
always 10% more interesting, at least.
Let us move to gaming quick hits. And this is the kind of story I like to see. Old games are always better. Unreal Tournament 2004 is back. Same people who brought you Unreal Gold, Unreal Original.
Yeah, the
Old
first Unreal Tournament.
Playable on modern systems, all patched up.
You just download the ISO, and it's a self-extractor. It installs, and you are back playing UT2K4, the best of the tournaments. It will run at high resolutions. It has a new support for a newer version of Glide or OpenGL if you prefer, but it still does DirectX 9. I'm apparently out of practice because I did fire ups with some bots last night just to make sure, because the other question was, GameSpy be dead, so is there multiplayer? Yes, there is. It is fun. It was an old staple of AMDMB and BC perspective.
Well, yeah, wasn't like 2009 we were hosting UT 2004
Oh god, yeah.
tournaments, but get-togethers. Yeah.
Yep. With the Frag and Frogs.
Yep.
Instagibbs, all sorts of fun stuff. And it's back. The only problem is, and I haven't had a lot of time to look into it other than to fire it up and guarantee that, yes, it plays at 1440p just quite happily. And some of those textures are still great. Some not so much. But it's just the memories of it, except they don't have the giant map pack. So I did the horrible thing that we all do and find a private server or a public server that isn't hosting anyone and try and slurp as many maps as you can off of it. And they cut me off after a couple of, well, actually I think I got about 30 of the maps down. So yeah, it would be nice for them to provide the ancient map packs so you can download them directly, because otherwise you're a pain in the ass because everyone's trying to play and you're sitting there loading maps and sucking up bandwidth. Then again, bandwidth isn't like it was 22 years ago.
No.
It's the last thing that's almost free, Jeremy. Everything else is going up in price.
Yeah. So we should try and get some of the old gang together and fire up some frag fests.
Next, this is a story from Rock Paper Shotgun. I think Jeremy may have
the one I
alluded to
mentioned
this already. Yeah, Steam reviews have let you attach your PC specs to your review, which could be them prepping, the hardware, the final hardware configuration, or at least a base configuration of the Steam machine.
Sorry, crowdsourced.
That's one way to look at it. Another way is, I think people's experiences should always have been had their specs attached to it, because if they're having like a bad experience with a game, you're like looking at here's I can see
you're running this
why.
on a potato.
Exactly. Then you can say, well, my machine is heftier than that. I'll be fine. I think they should have always done this.
Do I want to admit, though, if I'm actually running on integrated like Intel 965 graphics on a Core 2 motherboard? You have no choice. All your spec belong to us. It's my private information.
All right. Boy, that's still what is it? Starfighter tech, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been pretty negative on the podcast for a while now, but here's something overwhelmingly positive. It's the overwhelmingly positive game bundle from Humble Bundle.
It was time for this. It helps.
So games that have really high review favorability on Steam,
Monster
like 95% and above.
Yep. Monster Con, Heavenly Bodies, the Henry Stickmin Collection, Bug Fables, Later Alligator. Okay, some of these may be geared towards the younger set, but still, it is overwhelmingly positive. I felt like we had nothing but bad news for so long.
Oh, there you go.
I talked very positive about sim gaming. That is the other sim
Yes.
hardware. That's
Prices
the
are
other only
holding.
thing that the prices have been going down. So
Mhm.
get into that racetrack. Get those endorphins going by actually physically interacting with your game with a 25 Newton meter base that can break your thumbs. Do it.
Yeah, or
Because
snap
that
your
doesn't
wrist.
need flash memory.
Well, it does, but you know.
Well, a little
I
bit.
mean, look on the bright side. You know, if things get much worse in the real world, we can start playing Cyberpunk again. It'll be a utopian paradise.
It is time for our featured review of the week. And Jeremy, I know we are all eager to hear your thoughts on a pair of USB desktop computer speakers.
Who's the leader of the club who reviews for you and me?
Me.
JEREMYOUSOB.
That was nice. That was really nice.
Well,
That was worth the wait. Cheers, Josh. Cheers.
So yes, they're literally the size of a softball. As I said, I don't recommend throwing them around, but they are relatively rugged. 50 millimeter drivers inside them, so expect about the same as you're going to get from a headset, just not like that. They're on a nice angle. If you can see the bottom, so it forces them up like the old style tweeters you used to get. I like the fact that they're $26 US, and that they don't care if you're using USB-C or USB-A. So either way, you just plug them in, you go. They immediately turn on. They have a volume up and a volume down button, which my light is not capturing very well. But hey, if you read the review, you'll be able to see them. And that's it. Literally, there is no software. There is nothing other than I can make it louder and softer, and it's a direct connection to the volume on your Windows sound. So you don't have to worry about, okay, well, I've turned my speakers up, but then my volume on the computer is at 30%, so I can make them louder. No, this automatically just, boom, straight in and up. It's got no microphone. It's got nothing. They're dead simple. They are perfect for someone who kills their speakers on a regular occasion, who really doesn't understand advanced sound, who just doesn't care if they're running it through a banana or not. They don't sound awful. They get quite loud, and they maintain their sound profile as they get quite loud. It's only once you hit the 95 or so % plus that they actually start to distort. So I will give them a big hands up or fingers up from that, because Cyber Acoustics, they're not your go-to for the most amazing speakers on the planet, but they are there. And at $25, come on. I am literally going to be sending these to my father, who killed his speakers not too long ago. There's nothing he can really break on it. It'll plug into anything. As long as the USB port expects an audio device to be plugged in, because I did try it on the phone, and the phone had no idea what was going on there. Other than that, it will work on anything. You just plug it in, switch to that sound, and away you go. So hey, it's not amazing, but it is great for a lot of people out there who just don't want complications. They just want, hey, I want sound coming out of my device. Overall, and I expect, Mead, if your TV expects audio to be plugged into a USB, then yeah, you could. If it doesn't, and it thinks it's a service port, nothing's going to happen. Overall, they're relatively hollow. They really like vocals in the high end, so they're not on the California smile. They're towards the end. They get high. A lot of electronica noises, so maybe not so much most guitar or bass, but higher end guitar or guitar with effects put on it, keyboards with effects put on it. These things actually really love it. And they also made me realize that I think one of my cats had been playing with my subwoofer, because the bass was pumped up way too loud on my 5.1s. So I fixed that too. So thank you, Cyber Acoustics, for that as well. So yeah, if you're looking for stereo bookshelf speakers for someone who just wants a USB plug and sound happens, these are brilliant. You know, these are essentially fighting with the Creative Pebble. Roughly about the same price, roughly about the same quality, except with them, you've got a volume knob, which, you know, someone could snap off or you could mistake for God knows what. These, they're completely in line. There's nothing to hurt on them. So yeah, no for audiophile, but absolutely positive for I just want stereo sound. The other nice thing is that they're maybe 2 pounds all put together. So you could theoretically throw these in a bag and take them, because the idiot with a Bluetooth speaker who says, oh no, I've got it, who didn't charge it, and it dies 10 minutes into the party, plug these in until the laptop dies. You've got sound.
Jeremy, if you've ever tried to talk a relative through, you have it, your speaker's plugged into the wrong 3.5 millimeter port in the back. What do you mean the green one? What are you talking about?
Dad, tomorrow. I am sending these to my dad tomorrow.
Plug it in? What did you plug it into?
All right. Thank you, Jeremy.
And it's hard to say, but or it's hard to show, but you know, there's about a 6-foot cord on them for the USB, and then
how many amps can you push through a USB connection?
That's
how many you got? I meant to fire up the decimal meter on my phone to measure it, and never to get around to it.
All right. Thank you. And we were going to move to picks of the week. Josh, I'm sure you're eager to get us started.
So eager. You know what? A friend of mine actually bought one of these to test out, and it works fantastic. Yes, it's the new 10G NIC Giga Ethernet card, one by PCI-E 4.0. So it gives you the full bandwidth of 10G Ethernet. And for $70, that's a heck of a thing. And you can put it in server too. Oh, and you can also apply a 15% coupon instantly. So yeah, you're looking at what, $59 or so? So yeah, it's nice that we're finally, I mean, getting away from the 1 gigabit networking, especially for home and non-enterprise use, because, you know, now that people can get fiber drops into their house with 5 gigabit for $150, you gotta update the infrastructure in the house to serve multiple computers. And this is a nice upgrade for anybody who has a 1 gigabit or even a 2.5 gigabit, and they want those faster, sweeter internet speeds from fiber. Or if you have a NAS and you're backing stuff up all the time, it's nice to have the faster networking speeds.
If you have a NAS that can take advantage of anything above gigabit, that would be great.
But you know what? Even if you have, like, let's say, for instance, you're running a Steam game, right? But you have multiple computers, and you do that Steam game on there, and you've got a 10 gigabit, and it's sitting on a PCI 5.0 or 4.0 thing, you're getting faster connection through the network than you are from downloading directly from Steam. So there's a lot of nice things.
Yes. Jeremy.
Yes.
Well, I had a wonderful pick, and then it immediately got ruined because greed, essentially. All of a sudden, Babylon 5, the entire series, from start to end, was available on YouTube. And they were even talking about maybe releasing it once a week to get the old style, you know, oh my God, the new episode is dropping. Not Netflix style, but cable TV style. They were also going to do them in order, which kind of hurt Babylon 5. It is a great series. It takes a while to kick off. The first year is literally trying to establish the species, the environment, the genre, the fact that
Conflicts.
Newtonian physics is a thing. And after that, it goes crazy. But unfortunately, then Straczynski had an entire story arc panned out, and it hit this point, and they said, nope, you got to wrap it up in a season. So the ending could have been a lot more fun than it was, but it was still brilliant. And apparently it was really, really freaking popular, and a bunch of people started watching it. And Warner Brothers took it away today. How dare you enjoy this program that we don't charge for anymore? Like, it was just, I was looking forward to sharing this with you, but no, it's gone, taken away. Oh, except if you've got Roku, you can still watch the entire series for free anytime you feel like via Roku, which is ads and really dumb ads, but that's Roku.
Jeremy, your interpretation of this is that they started uploading these serially, started releasing them. They went through a few weeks of this, could not believe how popular it was. Somebody at Warner noticed this and said, we could still make money off of this. Get that free stuff off of there. Is that your interpretation of this?
Pretty much, except it, like I said, Roku and as Cliff's just pointed out, Tubi also has it for free. But no, I expect that you're going to see on Amazon the price of the box set spike and a new re-release or something come out because, yeah, it's just obnoxious that, hey, they talked him into doing this. Hey, let's do this. It'll be fun. And then some AI told some MBA, oh, you're losing money here. Were we making any money off of this? No, but that doesn't matter. You're losing infinity bucks.
Maybe they'll remaster it and re-release it.
Oh yeah, they will.
Like they'll do
and yes,
AI
Space Above and
upscaling.
Beyond. Nah, they just let us have our memories of it.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, I imported the UK version of that just so that I could get. There was like one other extra on the DVD set,
Yep.
just so I could have it.
You know,
I
it's
was a
like
big
a pusher. You know, give them the first taste for free.
Yep. And then
I can't blame them for this. Hey, look, all of our, you know, what look at all the different programs in that we have. What's underperforming? What way haven't we done a lot of lately? Oh, Babylon 5. It was, you know, a great 90s sci-fi thing that somebody actually did the graphics on a personal computer. They don't care. It's a great story. Yeah, and
I
you know, you
know the
gave it out
guys.
there. You gave it out there, and then you took it away, and suddenly people are renting it and finding other ways to get it. So,
yeah,
Maybe there's
Josh,
something
I knew
to that.
Haunted Planet.
you what?
Chris, Haunted Planet were the ones who did it for 3 seasons.
They're on new tech
And
video.
they used to live upstairs from me. They
Oh,
did
wow.
a lot of that work on a K7M, which, you know, shockingly enough, I was a member of K7M.com at the time and helped them out more than a few times. Chris and Ken Brown and Chris Wren. Check the credits. They did some of it. Yeah, so they were my upstairs neighbors when I first moved into this place freaking more than 2 decades ago. And, you know, there was one time I walked in the backyard and there was Cory Doctorow, J. Michael Straczynski, and Zini Jardin sitting, and I just sort of waved and said, hi, you're obviously busy, and went in. I'd also had a crap day at work, but, you know. Yeah, but they did a lot of that on a K7M, believe it or not. And they were also the ones who gave me the Thermaltake case once they were done with it that had the cigarette lighter in it.
Ooh.
The 5 1/4 inch drive that came out, and it was a car sterile cigarette lighter. They were fun. Got in a lot of arguments, though. We'll take that offside.
Okay. Brett, did you have a pick this week?
I did. I talked about wood, light, dark wood, stylish, trendy even.
Do you have wood right now on your computer case?
Oh, no, not in my computer case.
I do.
But I did.
I got wood.
I knew this would go here. I did do a quick search, and I found a woody PC case for those who rich enough to still be able to afford to build one in the correct micro ATX size and portable.
With a handle. Yes.
I know. And look at this. It comes in like a beech wood and like a black pine. It's just really, really nice. Really nice.
And look
if you're
at the
looking for
I'm a black pine guy.
carrying it
85
to that LAN
87
party.
That's
carrying it to the LAN party.
expensive.
It's not an expensive case. It's very airy. You can see all the venting that's all the way around. Even includes at least one fan. And there's room for a 240 AIO in it. And it's a micro ATX. So it's got a lot of the hallmarks of not a bad case for those who can still afford to build one.
Wow.
Well, you can afford
Great.
the case. It's just filling it.
Yeah. It's putting the
Great
stuff in.
pick.
But yeah, that's gorgeous.
$87.
Yeah, it's a pretty good case.
All right. Top that, Kent. What's your pick?
If you can't afford to build one right now, for a limited time, you can still afford to buy one probably. If you've got a Micro Center nearby, it's a 9850X 3D, 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM,
Wow.
an RTX 5080, $28.99.99.
That's pretty good.
That's
2 terabyte
terrifically
SSD, 2.5 gigabit LAN. Yeah.
Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah. You 850 watt power supply.
Is that enough?
You will not be able to match this again anytime soon. The way things are
Okay,
going.
yeah,
Save the power
64
supply
gigs
for
of
cheap.
RAM is at least $800, if not $900. The RTX
Yeah.
And the 5080.
that is a $1,400 video card. 2
Yeah.
terabyte NVMe is again $300 to $400, and that's just not even counting CPU or motherboard or power supply or case.
It
Yep.
makes me nauseous
eats
to
up
say,
that
but
2800, 29.
that's a good deal.
I could have this by 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Yep. If you've got a Micro Center nearby,
And who doesn't?
Micro Center, they're
What's a micro center?
something you only get in the good old USA.
This
You communist Canadian.
Kent, this is exactly the kind of deal that credit cards were made for. If you have a credit card with at least a $3,000 limit, go to Micro Center tomorrow.
They'll accept
No,
buy
buy
this.
this. Turn it around in 6 months for twice the price.
Exactly. Yeah, this is it's full of all the most desirable
I hate
things
to
right
say
now.
it, but
Who
Yeah.
cares about that 29% annual interest rate?
I don't.
Meow.
Oh, let it go
That's
to collections.
tomorrow's problem. That's a
hey,
tomorrow
if you can
problem.
double the
I
money
mean,
in 6 months, it's fine.
And the thing is, if you don't like the case or, if you want a different power supply, whatever, just pull the parts out and swap it over, because you can still get cases and power supplies at pretty good prices.
All right, thank you for that pick. And that's going to do it for this podcast episode, whatever it was. It's in the books. 857. We had some laughs. We shed a few tears,
Yes, there were tears.
but we did it. We completed the podcast and it's over.
We
And that's why
pushed
you're
through.
listening to this generic sounding jazz music.
Yep.
It means
The internet said we
video's
couldn't
about to
do
fade
it.
out.
The internet said we couldn't do it, but we did it anyway.
Yeah, the naysayers, that's what they do. That's why they're called naysayers.
It's true.
They're not
It's their brand.
cheerleaders.
Hey.
You know what? That reminds me of that great quote. The haters said I couldn't do it. And they were right. So good call by the haters.
Your uplifting speech from Josh.
And that's your closer.
Yes. Good night.